Hey Kipsters, in today's lesson you'll be able to describe the response of organisms to internal and external stimuli. This is everything from sweating when you get really hot to vomiting because you have a stomach bug, or even a plant like the one that you see here leaning towards the light or the stimuli. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you a video of a car crash. In this car crash, you are going to be in the passenger seat. I want you to be thinking about what would the response be if you were that person. Let's go take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it there, and I would like for you to be thinking about what was the response that person probably had. In this case, the stimulus is the car crash. This is what's going to cause a change or an action inside the human. And I can imagine that the person's response was that their pupils were dilated. That means their pupils were really wide. When you're scared or anxious or excited, your pupils will dilate. And they probably had their heart racing really, really fast because they were scared. So you just saw an example of stimulus and response. We're going to take a look today at some stimuli and response in both plants and animals. So a stimulus, or stimuli for plural, is a change in the internal or external conditions of an organism. So it's everything from a plant like a sunflower leaning towards the light. In this case, the sunlight would be the stimulus, and the plant leaning towards the light would be the response. Or in the case of this one here, the stimulus might be seeing a boy or girl that you have a crush on, and the response may be that you're flustered with your words, or that you're fluttering your eyelids, or that you start to talk really, really fast, or even that you lose your train of thought. That's the response. In this case of the plant that you see, the stimulus is the water, and the response would be that the plants soak up the water. So a stimulus or stimuli is anything that causes an organism to have to change. So it is a change in either the internal or the external conditions for an organism. So let's take a look at this example. Say you see this yummy plate of food and you haven't eaten all day. This would be a stimuli. So then, what's the response? Well, the response is probably that you will be salivating, meaning you're producing saliva. So when you are hungry and you see food on an empty stomach, the automatic response in most animals, including humans, is that you begin to salivate, or you produce extra saliva in your mouth. Let's take a look at another example. This time I'm going to show you another video. This comes from an old commercial. Okay, so in this example, you should have seen that there was still a stimulus. In that case, the stimulus was the man who jumped out of the screen unexpectedly, and the response may have been that you yelped, or that you were frightened, or maybe your eyes widened. That was the response, but the stimuli was the change in the environment. It was the change in the video. Let's go ahead and fill out your vocabulary card now. You should fill it out with the definition, a visual. Synonyms and antonyms need to be filled out as well. When you're finished, give me a thumbs up. So an organism responds to internal or external stimuli to maintain balance and to survive. The words internal and external need to be written down onto your paper. So you're going to want to write these in and fill them in there. We're going to start looking at internal first, and then we'll go to some external. So find this part on your paper, and let's fill it in now. So internal stimuli, the meaning is an action or change that happens inside the organism. Sorry guys, this should say action or change that happens inside the organism. So internal means inside. So I'm going to actually go ahead and write inside equals internal. Internal and inside go together. So any type of change that happens inside the organism, such as a plant losing water from its cells, well, we know that the cells are actually inside of this plant, and so that change is internal. Or even for us as humans, if you get food poisoning from eating bad food and then you actually vomit as a response, the food poisoning is inside your body, so it would be considered internal stimuli. External stimuli, on the other hand, is an action or change that happens outside the body. So external means outside. For example, it is something that's not inside the body of a plant or animal. If you're watching a scary movie, the stimulus is the movie, and it is outside of your body, so it would be an external stimulus. Or in the case of plants that are going through phototropism, the light that's shining on the plant over here, well, that's outside the actual plant, so it would be external stimuli. So external is always outside of the organism. Go ahead and make sure that you have both the meaning and examples written down onto your paper now. Let's go ahead and move to practice. So at the bottom of your page, you see that the directions say to underline the stimulus, identify it as either internal or external, or both, and then you need to explain. So for number 1, a cat sees a dog coming towards it, puffs out its fur, and hisses. Well, the stimulus, remember, is the action or the change. So I'm looking for what is the action or change? Well, the cat sees the dog coming towards it is actually going to be the stimulus. So seeing the dog coming toward it, the dog in this case is the stimulus. And is it internal or external? Well, the dog is not actually inside the cat. That would be weird. So it's going to be external. So I'm going to go ahead and write an E for external. And then how do I know if it's internal or external? Well, the dog is outside. So the dog is outside of the cat. Okay? So the dog is outside of the cat. So it is an external stimulus. All right. You guys are going to continue in this same fashion. We just did number 1 together. You will continue to the back of your page. There's 6 more that you're also going to do as well. Make sure that you underline, write I, E, or B, and you provide the explanation. Don't forget about that. Good luck, Kipsters.